Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Bogey Proof. We got Matt and Mike joining on the call here, ready to chat a little bit of Memorial, but mostly U.S. Women's Open. Matt, where are you coming from and what are you sipping on?
We are back in the apartment in Connecticut in the old humble abode here. I mixed it up tonight. I was just really in the mood for a beer. Like I just wanted a beer in a bottle tonight. I don't know what it was. Like work was kind of today. Like just a lot of stupid meetings or whatever. So I was like, I want a beer and I wanted a bottle. I tried to find Bud Heavies. That's what I was feeling, but they didn't have bottles downstairs for some reason. They only had cans. I was like, goes on here. So I ended up going with Voodoo Ranger by New Belgium because I was just keen on a bottled beer tonight. I didn't want a can, so that's what I went with. Mikey, what are you sipping on?
Before I get into that, how do you get from Bud Heavy to a New Belgium Voodoo Ranger IPA? Like
Yeah, well,
that was probably brewed in, I think New Belgium's like Fort Collins or something,
yeah.
Colorado. Like you are so like in a different direction there.
Oh yeah, because like once the Bud Heavy was out, I was like, I'm not gonna get a Bud Light bottle. Like I got cans upstairs, and then I was like, all right, if I can't get like the thing I wanted, I at least want to get something different. I don't want to just get like Bud Light, Corona, or whatever. Again, I was focused on the bottle. That's all I cared about. And then I stumbled across these, and I was like, all right, I haven't had one of those in a while, so whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
definitely a little bit of a curveball to go Bud Heavy to New Belgium, and especially like I said, an IPA. But I don't know. I was in a weird
Yeah.
mood today, so
the
this is
the
what caught my
bottle's
eye.
the bottle's important. You're a simple man, and that's your
Mhm.
simple pleasure for the evening. But
Exactly.
yeah, I'm back in Chicago, specifically just a little bit west of downtown in the River West Fulton Market area. It's a new area for me after living 2.5 years up in Wrigleyville, but enjoying it. Some nice views of the skyline. Um, a lot of sun coming through the windows. It's a beautiful day. Great setup here. Um, I am sipping on a Bud Light watermelon mojito seltzer. I did
Whoa.
not buy this. I did not buy this, but my buddy who I'm renting this place from for a couple months is out in Hawaii, and he left behind a couple goodies, and this was one of them.
There
So,
you go.
the only thing better than a nice cold seltzer is a free
Yeah, I was
cold
gonna say,
seltzer.
only thing better than a cold beer is a free cold beer.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying this. We're recording a little bit early here, earlier than we usually do. So, just kicking off my Thursday night a little bit better than it usually is. But yeah, let's jump into golf. Colonial last week, Jason Kokrak, a nice win from him and a slight Jordan Spieth collapse. But good to see that, a guy like Spieth is still up there and would, you know, consider him to be back. I know we've chatted a lot about
Yeah.
Jordan in the past, but any quick thoughts on kind of Colonial before we jump into Memorial and then U.S. Women's Open?
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing for me was like, let's go, Kokrak. Like, I think he's been playing such very undercover, sneaky, really solid golf the last 18 months. And I think it's awesome for him to come out and get a win at you know, relatively known, I don't want to say prestigious isn't the right word, but kind of a bigger event. I know he won in the fall series, but fall series always gets left behind for some reason. Like when the new year changes, like everybody starts the season with, Hawaii and kind of forgets about the fall. So two-time winner this year now technically, and this one seemed a little bit bigger. So good for him to kind of get his little showing out party here and get the win that I think he's been kind of working towards all year, kind of under the radar. On the Jordan thing, I think overall as Jordan fans, you can't be upset. Like obviously you'd love to see him get it done when he's got an opportunity like that, but you could tell from the start he was a little uncomfortable and he was kind of fighting it. So I'd be okay with losing it that way versus getting to 16 after striping it all day and then puking on yourself. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's two very different things. I think the swing just felt weird for him that day, or he was uncomfortable, or just didn't have it. I mean, we played a bunch of golf, and there's just some days your swing just kind of stinks and you're kind of fighting it all day. And it seemed like that's what he was going through on Sunday. Obviously, not an opportune time to deal with that, but you like to see him teeing off an 18th hole with a chance with it seemed like his C game, right? Maybe even
Mm-hmm.
D game. So overall, you'd love to see him get it done if you're a Jordan guy, but I don't think that's too big of a red flag, or I'm not sounding any alarms by his performance last week by any means.
Yeah, for sure. I'm on board with that. I think Jordan Spieth has found a little something and a little magic, honestly. And I think he has vaulted to the top of people when I think, hey, who can go out there and shoot 62 on a Thursday or a Friday without even blinking an eye? There's not a lot of people right now on tour. Like JT's in a little bit of a rut. He's one of those guys, but he's been struggling. Obviously, Rory's one of those guys. But really, Jordan Spieth is kind of that guy right now with the magic of like, I honestly expect him to go shoot 6 or 7 under, the opening round of the tournament, just because his game has been in that state. His putter's figuring it out. Really for him, does he drive it in play? Because his iron game is spectacular. He fires at pins.
Yeah.
Obviously right on Sunday, he hit a couple wayward ones and kind of got a couple pulls and a couple hooks. And that's definitely going to be his miss, but it's really for him, it's driving it well off the tee and finding a little bit of, that semblance of rhythm. And I think, he talks about it a lot, and he's in his own head, and he knows that as well. Right. Like he's come out and said, like, to his caddy, to Greller, like, hey, if I'm talking in circles, like, just stop me. Like, just tell me I'm going crazy here.
Yeah.
So I think for him, he's such a unique player because he's capable of shooting that 62, but he's also like so fragile at the moment, just because he's in that process of coming back. I don't think this 73 that he shot on Sunday and, finishing whatever he finished, is going to have a huge effect on him. Honestly, I think it probably makes him a little bit stronger. If he would have gone out and shot 76 or 77, I think it's a different conversation. But he was like, just like you're saying, he had his C or his D game, and he was still there with 3 holes left to play and had a shot. So, looking up for sure.
Yeah.
But
yep. Yeah, that's all I had in Colonial. It's a very historic venue, but we got bigger fish to fry this week. We got a couple big events going on in both PGA Tour and LPGA with Jack's place. I'm going to put an asterisk on that because it's a new place because he renovated it last year. And then obviously the U.S. Women's Open, which we'll get into. But I guess we'll kick it off with Jack's place. I mean, I think Rahm's defending, right? I think he won last year, and like kind of the burnout nonsense that was going on at that time last year with the conditions or whatever. I'm looking for. I love watching the Memorial. It always, whether it's the golf course or the fact that it's Jack's tournament and everybody, you want to show out when it's the best major champion to ever live is hosting an event. You want to, it's similar to guys at, Riviera when Tiger's hosting, right? It kind of means a little bit more. So it always seems to, like, the cream always rises to the top on this one, right? Like it's always big name guys always seem to be either in the mix or getting it done in this tournament. So it always gets my attention just due to the fact that, past winners, you got Rahm, Cantlay, Tiger won here a bunch, like stuff like that, where it's always, you don't see like, I don't know, like Robert Streb, or you don't see anybody more often than not. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple in there that are a little weird, but I'd say, if we're taking majority here, I think there's a lot of, it's a lot of big name guys that win here. I think Bryson won here a few years ago, right?
He did win maybe
2016, before he
16,
looked like
17. Yeah. There has been a couple. I mean, right. My pick for the week, Matt Kuchar. He's a former winner here. He stinks.
Yeah. He stinks, but he's also a stall. Like, he's been on tour for 40 years. Like, he's a classy vet where he's going to sneak one in. It's not like you have these guys who are like, I don't even know he was a tour player, like, I feel like that doesn't happen here.
What about the stretch in 2015 through 2017? I'm looking at the former winners.
Oh boy.
So, all right, we'll preface this with 2020, Jon Rahm, 2019, Patrick Cantlay, 2018, Bryson DeChambeau.
Studs.
3 of the top 10 players in the world. Then we'll go 2017, Jason Duffner, who's fallen off the earth.
Was good though.
Was good.
Man. He made a cup. I think he played on a Ryder Cup and maybe
he did, yeah. And he won a PGA and he lost in playoff in another one.
Yeah. Had his moment.
2016, William McGirt.
Oh, that one hurts. That hurts my take for sure.
20, and he beat John Curran, who's fallen off the face of the earth in a playoff. 2015, David Lingmerth.
I knew Lingmerth had one. For some reason, I remember that. I don't know why. Dude, that guy came out. I mean, a little David Lingmerth segment here on Bogey Proof. Like, that dude came out and he was like 5'6", right? Like
He's kind of
really
a killer.
short
Yeah,
dude.
he's kind of a killer. Yeah.
And he came out and was a fucking weapon for like 2 years. Just never like just strike the shit out of the ball. Ping guy. Remember he used to hammer like the G10, G15, whatever was out back then. Like just stroke the ball. And then literally I haven't seen him in, like you said, 5 years, right? 2015 he won. Like he was an absolute problem. I feel like he was in the mix in majors, even like at Augusta and whatnot. Like,
He
and then just completely
finished
fell
top
off.
5 in the PGA, I'm pretty sure too.
Yeah, something like that. Like very involved in golf for about maybe 2 to 3 year window. I don't even know. And then just, I don't know if he got hurt, maybe he got hurt or something, but like he just felt off, like off the reservation off. But
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I mean, I think just the strength of the field in general
right.
is probably why we get such good winners, honestly, right? Like you get all the studs at one tournament on a difficult golf course. More likely than not, you're going to have a top 15, top 20 player in the world that gets it done on Sunday. I think, and you mentioned a little bit before, like this is a golf course that's world renowned. Like I was looking at the top 100 earlier before actually on this call, and Memorial, there, it's Muirfield Village is number 15 in the US right now for rankings, right? Like,
Wow.
and the PGA is interesting. I wish we'd play more of those top 100 golf courses on the PGA Tour. I just think, right, the TPC brand and all that, we end up playing a lot of TPC, and we don't really play a lot of these older golf courses. So like outside of Augusta,
Columbia.
Pebble Beach, and a couple other ones. Like this is really the top of the top when it comes to PGA Tour courses. Riv is obviously up there. I think Riv's like 20th in the country, but the fact that Jack Nicklaus decided to tear up a golf course that was rated 15th in the country is wild, right? Like, and I
You a little
think
senile? Do we have to get a? I know he's calling the shots over there, but like, do we
it
have to
looks
get
pretty
some?
it looks pretty sick though.
It
Like,
does, yeah. I didn't get to watch too much today. I mean, they've been in a weather delay
yeah,
from
I
last
just
night,
more the
but
honestly stuff on like Golf Channel.
like, I mean, he's definitely a little old, and Jack, I feel like recently has been a little bit like now that he's in social media, I feel like he should have just stayed out of it. Like, he's a lot these days. He's a very like somebody wins, he'll be like, "This reminds me, like, what a great win! It reminds me of back when I won in 1980." It's like, Jack, shut up, dude. Like, like. But to your point, it is crazy that he took 15th ranked course in the nation and basically said nope and like blew it up. Like I think literally last year, I think while John Rahm was finishing, they were ripping up the second or third or whatever. The front nine was being ripped up as the tournament was like finishing up and like stuff like that. So I mean, he's also not to like shit on too much, but he's also like he's the winningest major champion in golf history, and I don't think that's ever going to be touched unless Tiger gets some crazy stem cell transplant, like some very borderline illegal surgery to make him be 35 again. That the golf's too deep now for that major record to really ever be threatened, I think. But it's very so I expect him to make it like I feel like he's trying to be like, all right, no, I want this to play like a major. I hope he goes that direction with it and just like makes it like super hard but fair and like gives us that that non-US Open event that the winning score is 6 under, right? Like something like that. I hope that's what we did. We'll see how it plays out this weekend, but that's what I hope he did with it. And I would kind of expect him to being, just the major focused guy he is, right? He wants to challenge these guys. So hopefully that's what he did with it and he had the right people around him to make that happen.
Yeah. No, I hope that's the direction he went into. And Jack, hopefully he's not quite crazy, right? Yeah, he's getting up there in age. I think he was born in 1940, so puts him at a little north of 80 right now. If you ever want to know Jack Nicklaus, how old he is, he was 46 and 86 when he won the Masters.
46,
so
86. All right, good to know.
So he was born in 1940. Little cheat code there, for the fans out there. But yeah, no, it's I mean it's always a stacked field, and would expect a top player in the world to get it done unless we're gonna embark on a new stretch here of maybe a 3-year tenure of I don't even know who would I put. Who's the David Lingmerth of the 2021 PGA Tour?
We could get like I hate to say this, but it keeps ringing in my head like Willie Z. I mean, he's been so good, but he hasn't proven anything. He's got to, like he's been so good. He doesn't have status. He could very easily, if he doesn't get a win in the next like 8 months, and all of a sudden has a bad stretch of golf, it could disappear forever. I don't think that's fair to Willie Z at all. I think he's a stud. His game seems a little bit more well-rounded than Lingmer's, but golf's a crazy game, man. You never know. Either that or like go like opposite in the spectrum and go like go a guy like I don't know Kevin Streelman. I don't know. He's
Yeah,
been
I
on
like
tour
that.
forever, but like when's last time, what did he win the Travelers 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And but like other than that, I could see it being some if it's someone like that. That's we're back in the David Lingmer's category.
Yeah, no, I like that comparison. Hoping Willie Z doesn't end with a fate of David Lingworth. I don't believe that to be the case.
No.
But yeah, no, Memorial's a cool tournament. But honestly, not the biggest tournament going on this week, and most certainly not the one that I'm paying the most attention to. Definitely, my focus is on the U.S. Women's Open out at the Olympic Club in San Francisco. I think we chatted a lot about this in December that week last year, the U.S. Women's Open at Champions Golf Club in Texas was a really cool week. And honestly, I put it up there in the top 2, 3, 4 weeks of golf, honestly, that I've watched in the past year or two. I think it was a blast to see the women out there playing a really difficult golf course under tough conditions and really seeing some unbelievable and spectacular play. And I see that kind of, shaking up to be the case this week. We have a really difficult golf course, that's hosted a bunch of different tournaments. They've had U.S. juniors, they've had U.S. amateurs, they've had 5 U.S. Opens. So, I got it in front of me here, 1955, Jack Fleck, 66, Billy Casper, 87, Scott Simpson, 98, Lee Jansen, 2012, Webb Simpson, and really like a lot of carnage, right? Like a very difficult golf course.
Webb won at like +2 or something,
He was
right?
he was +1. He was +1, right? And really small margin of victory. Everything's been one shot or a playoff. So, when you get these really difficult golf courses, they really bring everybody into play. And, you find someone who you kind of can go two ways. It's like, hey, who's that guy that shoots a really low score and then holds on for dear life?
Yeah.
Or that person that just like, it shoots like one over,
Even.
one over, 3 under, 1 over, and like, who knows, right? So I think it brings a lot of people in play. And the way the women play the game, I think a golf course like Olympic and really like a US Open setting goes one of two ways for the majority of the field. It either gets really, really bad if they struggle and they're playing at a thick rough on a long golf course, or if they're playing from the fairway and kind of dissecting it, the scores can get pretty good pretty quick as well. So very interested to kind of see it play out. And I think we're seeing that kind of early on, with the scores here in the first round as we're chatting here with, an early 4 under by Mel Reed, and then lots of, 1 over, 2 overs, and even some into the 6 and 7 overs really quickly. But yeah, I think too, it's always unique when they play a tournament in San Francisco, just because the nature of the weather out there, like you don't know what you're going to get, right? It's June out there and they're in like winter hats and jackets. And so it's unique. And I think it's going to definitely develop into a pretty awesome week of coverage. And what's kind of your thoughts on some of the women kind of that you think are going to be out in the forefront, and maybe a couple comments about, the coverage thus far that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. San Francisco, although it is Cali, it is more volatile, I guess, with weather, right? I mean, we saw Harding Park play. It was in August last year, and you saw a guy like Morkow's in a sweater, like long sleeves, whatever. So it does get a little chilly, for the time of year out there. So, like I said, elements they're battling too, right? I think I was watching a little bit of like live from the U.S. Open this morning, and I think it's 6,500, maybe 64, somewhere in that ballpark they're playing it at, which for all of us back home that play, your local muni or local private club, that's about what most men play from, I'd say, unless you're playing a really, exclusive or really challenging club that you're a member at. Almost no munis will be more than that. So it's interesting to see, because I feel like LPGA Tour kind of gets the stigma of like, oh, they just hit it short and straight or whatever. Like, you got to hit it here. Like, it's you can't whiff it around at 230, 240 and expect to contend, because you're going to have 200 in every hole, right? Like 6,400 can, 6,500. It's nothing for the men on the PGA Tour, but they're in a different stratosphere from myself, you like most everyday golfers, right? That, kind of watch golf or consume the golf content that's out there. So it'll be interesting for them to kind of show out and show how good they are at the length of course that like a US Open brings to them. I think, again, I don't know how like the math they did here, but they're saying something along the lines of the longest player on the PGA Tour, the longest group of three, is about 50 yards longer than the longest group of three on the LPGA, and then the same with the lower end of the spectrum. So if you were to kind of take that math and extrapolate it to the golf course and make every hole 50 yards longer, they're essentially playing an 8,000-yard course on the PGA Tour scale this week, right? So it's interesting to see how that plays out as they play in kind of colder, wetter conditions. That only makes it longer, thick rough out there. So that being said, I am expecting hitters to get up to the top, or at least have a little bit more wiggle room, like, because the US Open, it's like we're saying, score is going to be around even, one under, one over, right? Like, it's all about giving yourself wiggle room. So I think a person that hits it as long as that just has the opportunity to make a few more birdies to cover up the inevitable bogeys that are out there, right? People are going to make bogeys. It's US Open. That's kind of how golf works. That's how US Opens work, women's or men's. And it's just going to be interesting to see. So, like, based on that, I'm thinking somebody like Tina Tavakit, I think is her name, who won
Patty. Yep.
the
Yep.
AMA, right? She hits it super far. Brooke Henderson hits it hard. Like, girls like that, after 4 days of dealing with this, especially if it stays as kind of cold, wet, damp as it looked out there today, and the little bit of coverage I did see, I would expect that kind of style player to be towards the top. Where that happens, we'll see. But that's my initial thoughts. The weather could change. The course could play differently, whatever it may be, given it's from 64. Like, it's going to change some holes and whatnot compared to how the men played it. But that's what I'm thinking. And then another thing I had on the coverage while watching, I was watching live from the US Women's Open, and I don't think a single sentence was said by a Golf Channel that didn't mention the men. I found that a little interesting. I mean, this LPGA Tour is, been very, not them themselves, but it's been very like in golf media, right? In golf, the golf culture community, whatever. It's been very vocalized that like, hey, like, these girls are awesome. We need to showcase them, like, get them the ratings they deserve, so that way we can see, like, get more LPGA Tour golf on TV for more people to consume, become a fan of, kind of grow that tour to be, a little bit closer to what the PGA Tour gets in ratings, money, like all that trickle down effect, right? And it was just a little, I don't know if it's surprising is a word, or it was like I was a little like kind of turned off by the fact that every single sentence today for live from by the Golf Channel was, yeah, I know US Olympic Club, awesome venue for the women. And in 2012, the men played here, and here's how it played for the men when they played here. And like, I get they're trying to put some context to the course, but in the 45 minutes of live from that I watched, little to no LPGA Tour players were mentioned, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, I'm not like
You're
this.
not preaching. You're not preaching
Yeah,
about it
I'm
here.
not preaching, but like, just as a like innocent bystander, just trying to watch the golf and watch the U.S. Open, like we're talking about, we're excited about it. I was like, Jesus, they were talking about the men a lot in this. Like, this is like, I honestly, I should have checked Twitter to see if they're getting a little backlash on that. But like, every sentence was like ended by, and here's how the men did in 2012, or here's like how it would play if the men were playing this whole, or like in doing all those comparisons. And I get the angle they're trying to take of making it more relatable and trying to break it down for how hard it's going to be at the LPGA Tour level, or like give context to the course. But like, I would have loved to see like some player profiles, who they think is going to win, like stuff like that, like where you have live from, you have this 3 hour, 2 hour slot on Golf Channel that you already like are kind of fighting for if you're the LPGA Tour. Like, focus it on the LPGA tour when you get it. That was kind of, I guess, where I was coming from with that. But I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on like Olympic or players that you're looking out for?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and you mentioned a lot, right? We talked a lot about the men here. I think understandably so from the fact of, to my understanding and from my initial research, I don't think they've ever had a U.S. Women's Open or a U.S. Women's AM. Um, here they even had like a US four ball at the Olympic Club and the other one, but they have not had a women's event at the Olympic Club. So, you know, I think, right, it makes sense that they're bringing some context to it, but I think it's an opportunity for them to like swing that and be like, hey, this course is unbelievably difficult. This is the first time that they're going to see it. Let's show some data as like, hey, right, like 18 is a really cool short par four. It's like 330 uphill. Like, hey, we see the farthest drivers on the LPGA tour. Where are those balls going to end up on that hole, and what is that going to leave them with, right? Like, and start talking about the golf course in that context, or like, right, the first hole is 535. Like that's a long par five by LPGA tour standards. Who on the LPGA tour has an opportunity to get there in two? Who could start off their U.S. Women's Open with an eagle and like some fireworks, right? Or like, hey, the fairways are 20 yards wide. The best drivers on tour, their dispersion is 12 or 14 yards or whatever. Like, this is what the dispersion looks like. Where Lexi Thompson hits it off the world, this is her dispersion, right?
Yeah.
Like, really kind of showing that angle as to, and I think the LPGA tour is so unique in the fact that, right, Lexi Thompson hits it 280 off the tee. I think her tour average is like 278. And then we have people on the LPGA tour that drive it 225. What does that look like, in comparison to like how they play that hole? And right, like a girl like Megan King who doesn't bomb it off the tee, she's two under through 8 holes right now, right? Lexi Thompson's over par. Like there's there's multiple ways to play the game of golf, and that's so clear on the LPGA tour that sometimes it gets lost on the PGA tour because bombers win so often out there. And I think we could really shed some cool context and some cool light on the ability to play golf in a different way and really precisely take advantage. I do like your thought of like, hey, let's get someone who hits it long. The rough is thick, right? Probably going to take some club head speed to get out of some thick lies. I was watching this afternoon and I saw more pitch outs in like 30 minutes of watching than I saw on the PGA Tour all last week.
Right.
And there's more trees at Colonial than there are here. So I think we have a really cool opportunity. In like we could see on Sunday afternoon, we could see someone who hits a 280 off the tee playing with someone who plays 240 off the tee. That doesn't happen. That does not happen on the PGA Tour. Right. So that could be a really cool opportunity too. And I hope we get some sort of situation like that on Saturday and Sunday in the main coverage.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, to your point, it's like it's like such a new angle and like way to present golf. And also and I'm not trying to speak for the LPGA Tour, but I think they've been trying to be like, listen, we can't get ratings if you give us the terrible time slots. They had an awesome, mid-afternoon live from slot today. Pump the players on your tour that have, like charisma and character, and like build up their personalities and like make people be a fan of players, right? Because that's what drives the tour itself, right? Is you get more people that are obsessed with players. They bring in more sponsorship dollars. That it's a butterfly effect, whatever you want to call it, right? Like I honestly watched for 45 minutes. They mentioned like 2 or 3 names, and it's just like you said, they could have taken the angle of been like, okay, show us some of the very important or whatever it is holes at Olympic, right? Where is it going to map out for, take the top end of the range, the bottom of the range? How does it play differently for these girls? And throw some of the names that are like the best players at those different things, and like get people to start hearing the names. And that's how, like, I just feel like it was like such an opportunity. Maybe they'll do better tomorrow. And again, I didn't watch the full segment. Maybe I just missed it and cut it at a bad time, but I really feel like every sentence was caveated by here's how it played for the men. And it was like, all right, we're at the U.S. Women's Open. Talk about it. Like, talk about the U.S. Women's Open like players. And it was just a little weird. I don't know, but LPGA Tour is it's on the upswing. I actually got an email today that my LPGA like tie-dye hoodie that I ordered 2 months ago has finally gotten delivered, and it'll be, or not delivered, but it's been shipped or whatever. It'll be here in like a week. So I'm looking forward to that actually. That was a nice email to get today. All the emails I got.
Yeah, no, that's a great email to wake up to. Yeah, and I think it's the LPGA Tour has so much momentum. They just played a match play event at Shadow Creek, and I don't know if you watched much last week.
I watched a
That
little
was
bit. Yeah.
so fucking entertaining.
It's such a
I
cool.
watched the last 5 holes of Daniel Kang and Allie Ewing. 5 birdies, last 5 holes, just trading back and forth, trading fist bumps, right? Daniel Kang is fire as hell, right? She's throwing fist bumps, high fives. Allie Ewing's just fucking precision, bombing, 3 woods and drivers down the fairway, hitting them close, knocking in fucking 40 footers, like just insanity, like just such good golf and so entertaining, so much momentum. I'm really hoping for a great tournament this week, and I think too, no matter who wins, unless it's really like one of those top 10 players that everyone kind of knows, and really when I say that, I mean the people that consume golf know about them. But even for us, right? Like if they're outside the top 10 or 15 in the world, like yeah, we might know the name, but we don't know their story, right? It's an opportunity to display that player, right? I was watching Allie Ewing. I hadn't really heard of her too much, right? But I kind of heard her story. She was from Mississippi, right? Mississippi State, really awesome amateur career, and has kind of had a relatively meteoric rise in professional golf. And I hadn't heard of her, right? So I think there's a ton of opportunity to chat about that. I really like to having the featured group coverage is pretty cool. Though we need some more cameras out there. Like, how can I not see if I'm on the USGA website? How can I not click on someone's scorecard and see like the shots from those holes?
Yeah, even
At
if
least like the par
it's not like the
threes.
hole, let me see the birdies. Yeah.
Let me see the birdies. Let me see their opening tee shot. Like
Yeah.
they talked all about this, like all the first tee with all the cameras on it. Like why can I not see every single one of those right now if I wanted to? So I think obviously we have some space to grow and from that standpoint, but definitely like you're saying, pushing forward in the correct direction, playing a historic golf course like Olympic, really kind of lends itself to a fun week and a fun weekend. I'm just hoping kind of the media and all the other outside sources kind of play up those girls that are playing this weekend, and we don't kind of get the the random jargon kind of on the side that really doesn't add to the overall experience. But I think something cool too to talk about, and I know we've talked about a little bit here on Bogey Proof, like just kind of like the food and the booze scene. I think San Francisco is a really cool place. I'm not sure if you spent any time there. Went out there with the family for a week, and I wouldn't say it's a place that I would ever want to live, just because I think I'm a little too normal and a little too conservative to kind of live in San Francisco. So I'm not sure it would be a place that I would want to live, but it is an unbelievable experience. The dinner I had in Chinatown was fucking phenomenal. Really cool views, cool breweries, cool, really awesome restaurants, and really there's no place like San Francisco from a standpoint of the haves and the have-nots, right? Like there's people with Silicon Valley money, like making 10-20 million dollars a year, and then San Francisco is one of the highest homeless populations in the entire country. So it's a really unique city. And I think the girls have talked a little bit about it too this week, of like, when I'm out on the golf course, like I'm going to enjoy the city. I'm going to get my mind away from golf. And we don't really hear that on the PGA Tour all that often. I don't, outside of DJ, who says like, he walks off the golf course and turns his brain off.
Cabo, he's out.
Yeah, smokes a couple cigarettes on his boat or whatever he likes to do. But like, I think we get a really candid population of people on the LPGA Tour. So it's been fun to kind of listen to them and them talk about too all the things that they're doing outside of playing golf this weekend and enjoying the surrounding area, which if you're a professional golfer or you're an amateur who's good enough to play in the US Open and play on these great golf courses and travel the world, like you better take advantage of seeing these places, because there is millions of people who want to be in your shoes. So it's fun when, we get a really candid conversation and some cool comments from some of these people. And we need it more on the men's tour. That's all I have to say. I don't want to compare them to the men's tour, but we need it more on there.
No, I agree. I think it's a really good point. Like, we get that appreciation isn't the right word, because I think the men do appreciate the positions that they're in. But I think given like the women, again, and maybe they're just more candid, or it's more the fact that like unfortunately they realize like the money gap, right, with the difference in tours, like the purses that are in these tournaments. Like, you have to be a top, what, 25 player in the world for it to be like not a thought about, the rest of your life money wise, right? Like financially. Um, where the men's tour, I mean, if you're in the top 50, unless you're just getting in the top 50, if you've been sustained in the top 50 for a couple of years, you're probably doing all right financially. Where I think these girls are like, hey, I have an opportunity to, like you said, travel to all these awesome places. Like, I'm not going to bank on my golf game being at this level for 10 years and not take advantage of being in these places when I'm here, and really enjoy, like I said, enjoy the cities, the travel. You know, obviously they're professionals and they're trying to win the tournament. I'm not trying to say that they're not, but like they also, it seems like once they get off of that golf course, whatever that time is, maybe they do 12 hours there on their practice round days, right? Like 7 a.m. and they leave at 7 at night. But when they go to dinner that night, like they are not thinking about golf. They're enjoying the city. They're walking around, embracing the views, all that fun stuff, right? I think that's a really good point that I think will like help. It's just something that, that you love to see, right? You just love to see people that are in such awesome situations, kind of, or like professionals where like, holy crap, they're so good. It's like you like see the human element of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's a good little like a tidbit or like kind of
Yeah.
nugget of information you get out of the LPGA side.
Yeah, and it's it's something that I think amateurs can take something from. Like, I definitely have buddies who are like 12, 15, 20 handicaps, and they live and die by their golf game that day, right? And you go on a golf trip, and you might play 3-4 rounds of golf in a long weekend, but there's 14 other hours in the day, or 12 other hours in the day that you're awake, that you have time to do something else. Like, the fact that your lack of ability on the golf course affected the rest of your day, and you didn't get to enjoy kind of everything that goes on, off the course, whether you guys went to dinner, whether you guys did something um, outside of that, or if you just kind of enjoyed the company in the place that you were staying. I think everybody can learn from those type of things, and having a little bit of perspective over. I think we always chat about it too, from a standpoint of like, we were lucky enough to play college golf and travel and play lots of great courses, and take spring break trips and things like that. But like, once you got out of that, you really you learn to kind of appreciate those opportunities to go and to do those types of things and play to great golf courses, and to travel with your buddies and your family and things like that, right? And right, that's the reason we're going to Ireland at the end of this year, is to enjoy that type of experience. So just something that people can take, from people that do it the best in the world.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, and I think something that, for any of our listeners that are newer to the game of golf and just getting into it, like golf is a very difficult game, but it's also the funnest game in the world. So it's like you need to just be honest with yourself and your expectations, right? Like, I'm at the point now, like you said, we played, competitively to an extent, right? It was Division 3 golf, but played competitively where we cared about every shot, every hole, whatever, for 4 years plus, going back to high school or whatever it was, or, still playing tournaments now. But like, unless I'm in a tournament now, I'm just trying to enjoy the day. I'm not working, like I don't work on my game as much as I used to back then, where I can expect myself to be at a certain level. Like, yeah, I'm not loving it if I'm, hit a terrible shot or three putt or whatever. Like, I'm not like happy about that. But like, I let it go a lot quicker now, I think. And I just like, all right, who cares? Who cares if I shoot 78 today, or if I shoot 82 today, or if I shoot 73 today, or even if I shoot 68 today? At the end of the day, nobody cares. Like it's like golf it's so personalized. It's all on you, where like it's very easy to live and die on every shot. And it's like, just have fun with it. Like, unless you're seriously working your ass off on your game to the point where you should be able to expect certain things to either get better or to shoot certain numbers, whatever, which even then is like a bad mindset to have. But unless you're seriously like practicing 5 days a week or 4 days a week and playing 2 days a week, like your expectations are not fair to yourself to get as mad as I've seen like players get, right? Like you say, I have buddies that are, 10, 15s, whatever. And, we'll be out there and like they'll like hit a bad chip where it's like a really hard chip and like they'll hit a bad one and be like, what the fuck? Like swearing, like, whatever. I'm like, dude, when's the last time you practiced that shot? They're like, oh, never. I'm like, okay, then relax. Like, who cares? Let's go. Like, move it along. Like golf is it's very weird where it's like, it's the hardest game in the world. But if you just like control your mindset about it, and Coach Downs yelled at me about this a lot when we were in college, it's all about your mindset. Like, you play better if you just have fun with it. Like, I've found that like after college, like you said, we enjoy golf a little bit more and it's not as much of a grind. I actually have played a lot better post college without as much practice because I go into the day with no expectations. I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not working today. It's nice out. Like, I'm enjoying the day. Like, I'm obviously trying, but like I don't freak out every time something goes bad. It's just like, all right, whatever, and go hit it again. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, no matter anymore, right? Like, it's a very weird thing, golf is, but it's something that I feel like amateur golfers and even at the professional level, you'll see some people too. Like, they talk about DJ, right? He's obviously grinding, but like he doesn't get mad when he hits bad shots. He just like goes about it and keeps it going. And people are envious of him having that mindset and also being able to be as good as he is. Obviously, freak talent, but like it's that kind of thing with golf where it's like, listen, if you're out there grinding to break 80 on the weekends, at the end of the day, whether you do or not, doesn't matter. So just like have fun with it and like enjoy the day, enjoy the company you're with. Like you said, don't let it, like you said, if you're on a trip, right? Don't let it affect the dinner you guys go out to that night. Like, just like make golf like as fun as it was intended to be. Don't take yourself or the game too serious.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, golf is a fucking blast. And, I have as much fun playing golf and shooting 80 as I do when I shoot even par.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, not a lot has changed. I just hit a few more shots, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
And I
fun.
would love to shoot even par or break par every single time I show up. And am I capable of that? Of course I am. But am I also capable of shooting 82? Of course I am too, right? So like whatever comes of it, just know, like, I think you talk about the perspective piece and it's super important, right? Like, I got back to Chicago 5 days ago now and I haven't touched my golf club. I hit a couple putts in my apartment. Like, I'm going to go practice tomorrow and I'm going to play on Sunday. But like, what's my expectation on Sunday when I play golf? Like, if I expect to go out there and shoot my career low, then I'm just like, I have no shot. I have no shot to even be successful
Unfair
out
to
there.
yourself, and you're not going to have fun. It's
No.
like it always goes back to, for me, like, and again, I've been much better about this as I've gotten out of college and like enjoying golf more. It's like, wow, I can't believe I hit such a bad bunker shot. When's the last time I hit a bunker shot again? Oh yeah, 3 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, like relax, like stuff like that. And that's what it is, right? Like you said, you haven't touched them in 5 days, 6 days. You putted a little bit and you're going to practice tomorrow. But realistically, if it happens, great. You're going to try, but you're not going to, if you come out and make a couple bogeys on the front nine, you're not going to be like, oh, what the fuck? Like, make a scene.
No. And I think it's a shift in a mindset, and something I've been trying to do better about is saying, hey, like, this is what your golf game is going to be probably for the rest of your life. And I don't mean from a standpoint of like just being decent or average or whatever the case may be. I mean of, hey, like, probably for the rest of your life, you're probably only gonna be able to practice a couple days a week, and and play 1 or 2 times a week. Yeah, you might get to go on a trip or travel or do something like that every other year, but like, this is kind of what golf's going to be like this. So learn to kind of manage it and figure out what you need to do to be most successful when you play, twice a week. Maybe it's 9 holes during the week and maybe it's 1 day on the weekend. Like, if you're going to play 27 holes, what do I need to do on those other 5 days to kind of to ensure that my golf game is going to be the best possibly can. And a big piece of that is mindset, right? And, getting to the range a couple nights during the week or a couple early mornings and maybe getting to the gym and ensuring that you're staying in good shape. That's all well and good. But if I don't bring a good mindset to the first tee on Sunday morning, then you don't really have an opportunity to enjoy yourself out there. And, you don't have an opportunity to enjoy yourself, let alone shoot a good score. So definitely a developing story from former competitive golfers that we continue to work on every single day.
Just trying to get better. And usually at this point, it's not actually in the golf game, it's in the mindset. So,
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, looking forward to, a fun weekend of golf. Memorial will definitely watch. But obviously, focus will be out there on San Francisco and the women, battling Olympic club. Scores look decent early here on Thursday as we do this recording, but not a ton of low scores by any means. So definitely would consider, something under par to have a very good shot on Sunday, and looking forward to seeing how the golf course changes and how the players adapt. But
absolutely. And real quick before we sign off here for our listeners, coverage of the U.S. Women's Open. I know it doesn't get the attention it needs, so I want to make sure I do
yeah,
my part in letting people know. Thursday, Friday, which we're recording this Thursday, so 7 to 11 on Golf Channel will be live coverage, and then Saturday, Sunday we're going 2 to 5 NBC on Saturday, and then 5 to 10 on Golf Channel, and then Sunday they'll have 3 to 7 on NBC and watching the conclusion of the tournament. So make sure you set your DVRs or whatever they used to say, right? Like make sure you're around a TV from that mid to late afternoon time slot this weekend, and try and enjoy some high level golf by the LPGA Tour out in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. Mr. Fontaine, always good chatting. And I'm sure we'll be, talking throughout the weekend about golf. Are you playing this weekend? What's on the docket?
I don't know. I don't think I'm playing. I'm going to Boston Sunday because I was supposed to see the Red Sox last weekend, got rained out. Now it's Monday night, so I think we're going up Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to play. I'll probably go to the range and try and maybe play something Saturday morning, if anything. But I don't got too busy of a golf weekend scheduled at the moment. Probably going to get out next weekend. I think I'm going to play both days. But
yeah. Hey, there's nothing wrong with taking a weekend off. I think we put ourselves through a little torture last Saturday playing in the freezing rain. And I mean, anything's more enjoyable than that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think we're gonna sneak out there. The plan is Sunday. It's supposed to be like 90 and humid here.
Ooh.
So hoping, I think we're gonna play in the southwest suburbs. We got a couple friends out there. A couple of them have pools, so we're putting a couple feelers out there. Possible, show up after a round of golf, hop in the pool before we head back to the city. So trying to work a couple angles there, and ultimately that's more important, right? If I play terrible golf, but I get to hop in a pool and have a couple beers afterwards, I'm gonna forget about it.
That's a successful day.
But all right, always good seeing you, and we'll chat soon.
Cheers.
See you, buddy.